What's going on, creators? Yeah, just want to get on here and bring everybody back to now. Appreciate y'all being here and vibing with me for a bit. Yeah, today I'd like to continue the conversation. Probably continuously going to be talking about mental diets because they're so important to be spending your time, if you are going to be exposing yourself to a different media, to make sure it's like healthy for your mental diet, and not creating fear. And there's so much of that in like the truth community is it. And maybe as things continue to progress, more and more people will be like doing research and getting in their rabbit holes, and who knows where they'll come out the other side. And I just want to remind people to kind of just take a step out of that. If they start to notice their state of being or their consciousness starting to be inundated with fear, inundated with the they, I get that a lot with like the truth community when I kind of dip into it just to see how people are doing, because that played a big part of my life. There's like a really long period of time, years, where it just felt so isolated and alone. It's like, no, what are we going to do? I feel like I'm in prison, now what type thing, and trying to just really just diving in these rabbit holes, heads, balls deep, I guess, just all into it. And I like to see, and I feel like I've come out like in a different perspective, having gone through that. And, I still have a lot of love for people in that kind of scenario because I've been there and I understand what people are going through. And I can definitely understand how dark and like low vibe that can get. And so definitely want to, share some things, for people that are into, that research mode and they and everything else, and just remind you it's not all scary doom and gloom. And it can be a lot better when you really just start focusing on your life with God, and moving forward in that direction, not getting stuck in these satanic loops. It's like I hear a lot of people in the truth community just almost seems like they're more obsessed with satanic shit, unconsciously. I mean, I'm not saying that they're like into that, but it's like, getting into all this occult and esoteric things and like the symbolism and all of that kind of shit. It really starts to make me go, hey, I get that you're spending a lot of time trying to get to the bottom of this thing, but it's like part of these breadcrumbs is like Matt from what is it? Has it? Quantum of conscious, whatever, would say it's like these breadcrumbs, they're all pissed on, just kind of spinning your wheels, a lot of different ways. But like, if you start to really spend more time, maybe, just looking into the Bible, listening to what Jesus said to do, applying with that, with the wisdom that Jesus, has in the Bible for you to kind of take in and applying that in your own life, it's a totally different experience when you still like start to connect with the kingdom of God within you, and what does that mean, and what am I to make of that? And it's like it almost feels like there's many worlds going on simultaneously right now because it's only ever now. And with that, some people are stuck in this paradigm of the world and like willing to inject themselves with anything to get back to the world and everything else. And it's just like then at the other end of it, you have like the truth community that's just like totally just freaking out with the vaccine and just like they coming to get them and shit. And it's like, just get out of that whole paradigm of reality. I mean, none of that really matters because the whole thing has been a big psyop illusion. The media, all of it, it's been, so much of it has just been exaggerations and narratives and propaganda and fairy tales. And it's just like, as soon as you step out of that and start living the life that God created you to live, I don't know what that means for you. That's something you go within and you decide. There's a lot of people hitting my radar now just through like, social media. I just finished doing a drywall job for a customer who's like, getting ready to really kind of jump into starting a business. And like, I think a big part of it is just like the pressures, the peer pressure for this vaccine shit, and like, how like in my area, it seems like the government is really, put it in the hands of the employers how to deal with it. And as an employer myself, it's just like, well, I'm not going. I think it's psychotic to have my guy put any type of experimental shit in his body. It's like if he wants to do that, that's between him and God. What he wants to do, I don't feel like that's my place to tell anybody what to do. And like with that, I understand some people we don't have that kind of employment situation, and I just like just then maybe look at that as you more than likely don't like the job anyway. there's a reason why you don't like what you're doing, because it goes against, where you want to be, what you actually desire, and so much of this thing is experienced through, achieving your desires. And like, the old man mind would just like, kind of run with that in all sorts of different directions. But, what you actually just desire is to experience love, which is another way of experiencing God, experiencing life. I don't think God gets hung up on labels, and I don't think God has an ego that needs constantly stroked. It's just, but everybody has their different experience, with their creator. But that's just been my experience so far, and it's like everything seems to be this constant unfolding, and just getting these little revelations, these different understandings of actually who you are in connection with all things. Because we're all connected through consciousness is another way of saying we're all connected through God on some level. But when you start to really comprehend, how reality starts functioning more like a mirror, and your inner beliefs and your inner assumptions and all of these things start to become externalized, it's easier to start to comprehend why what a lot of people are experiencing now, maybe with the threat at their jobs, and all of their worst case scenarios kind of playing out. There's basically their fear is manifesting unconsciously, and a lot of that can be fixed, by your faith, as you instead of facing these fears through your egoic mind, which is just another way of saying the mind, the paradigm of thought that believes that you're a brain inside of a body and that you're alone. As you start to face these different challenges as they emerge, with faith, it's a totally different scenario, and it's crazy how when you face these fears, you start to conquer the fear, and you realize ultimately fear in itself is an illusion. And when you start looking at all the promises of God, and even like the instructions that's kind of laid out in the Bible, I really feel like it's really helpful to just get your mind in that state of clarity, so that you're not just creating or manifesting fear, these fear cycles for one, and then also limiting beliefs and assumptions that play out in these repetitive loops. And those could be as simple as like feeling guilt and shame, to not feeling worthy, to just feeling like not good enough, and all of these different things. And so much of it's from childhood, and just these scripts that just kind of have been running. But as you get older, and maybe not everybody's had the experience of like raising kids, you start to realize like your parents are just people. And even just like growing up, you start to have that realization your parents did the best they could. But I still talk to I just talked to both my parents earlier today, and then you just start realizing that they're just doing the best they can. And I'm the same way with my stepdaughters. Just tried to do the best I could. But there's things that have been glaringly obvious that I could have done better. Maybe it can still move in a better direction. But a big part of that, though, is becoming conscious of those patterns. At least it's become so easy with like social media to always just feel like you just got the answers, and like I'm just going to shout my opinion as loud as possible, and like not hear anybody else's opinion, especially coming through like the truth community, where it's like so much of these layers of deception. You can see through these spells so easily, and like some people like get triggered when I say like you call them spells and wizardry and shit, but it's like you can use like today's language of propaganda, and psychological warfare is the same type of thing. It's all an internal deal, really. And that's what's good about the Bible when you just get into it, is it breaks a lot of these spells, and it gets your mind in a direction where you're just at peace, and as backwards as that sounds to maybe I get why that, if there had been a time in my life someone said that, and it's like well, how could that doesn't make sense, but having apply these things, it's like, and knowing that your inner state and your faith is constantly being mirrored. It's like there's really no time delay. It's just as quick as a mirror, just standing in front of it. And instead of sitting there judging the reflection, looking at that, acknowledging that the things that you see on the outside that trigger you, there's a reason why it triggers you, because it exists within you as well. And as soon as you're able to kind of forgive that, you're ultimately forgiving yourself in this weird way, but it's like almost easier to see it in others than to admit that that's something going on within you. And I see that as a lot with like the truth community. It's like always pointing at the they, and then as unconsciously strengthening the they, and actually like doing exactly what it wants, throwing out more fear porn basically, but it all serves a role in this thing. Not to look at things, because I've been guilty of the same thing. I've been, if you listen to from like the very beginning when I started doing these videos and stuff, there's like a lot of that kind of like just wanting to battle and fight against like the they and all that kind of shit. But like what I've realized is that that's what it wants, so it's like it wants to fight, it wants to just get you triggered and just spin you in these loops. But the easiest way to, if you do want to kind of like fight it, battle against it, just is to starve it with, removing your attention from it and replacing that attention with a more beneficial and empowering mental diet, for one. Realizing most of this shit on the news narratives, both, there's at this point, the right and the left wing news networks, but like looking at all of that as like WWE, it's just entertainment for the masses to kind of feel like they got a handle on things, like they know what's going on. When you look around, it's like half the people that you see are completely incompetent, and that's just like probably just verifiable. I mean, it's like, how did everybody do in school? I mean, just and not like is that is like an indicator of like any type of like intelligence, because we're all connect. Everybody's got their skill set. Everybody contributes on some level, but some people, there is different levels to things, and it's kind of naive to think there isn't. It's like playing guitar, for example. I mean, there's somebody that just picks it up, can barely strum a couple chords, versus being able to play flawlessly, like studio quality. I mean, there's a difference in skill levels, but that doesn't mean like one person's like more moral or whatever, or like superior, or whatever. I mean, we're all doing this thing together in a weird way. This orchestrated dance of just, at times it appears to be a circus, but like I start to recognize these patterns more and more as I'm like, sometimes I feel like just like getting into the world for a while. It was like just dip into it, just get triggered, I guess, just to do it. I've been kind of on a tangent on Twitter. I don't really know why. It's like a lot of like the Afghanistan shit was like triggering me for a while, and a lot of that had to do with just a lot of like stuff I've been carrying, I guess, for like 20 years, where it's just been like, what, seeing through the veil then enough to go, this is retarded that we're doing this, and no one seemed to hear it, and everybody's just chanting the same narratives. And I don't know how long that's going to continue to last, because it seems like legacy media, or whatever you want to call this, it's like, who's going to be replacing the audience for that? I mean, I don't watch that shit. My kids definitely don't watch. My kids don't even really get on Facebook, let alone Fox News or any of this shit. And we don't play the shit in the house. It's like, if anything, we do Hulu, and I pay to not have the commercials. Which is like, I can't stand these commercials anymore when I am like exposed to it, even briefly. It's just like, because there's so much just obvious manipulation when it comes to like, oh, let's just try to make you feel good, so as you feel good, you associate that feel goodness with our product. It's just these little mind games and shit, and these like these woke companies, it's like, I'm not gonna spend $1 with your company. It's the same feeling I have towards Amazon. It's like, in Jeff Bezos, it's like, man, I had to buy a track. I couldn't find it, because like I was like, ever since I got this new microphone, I can't rip audio off of YouTube for some reason. I can't figure out why, and so I was just like, oh fuck it, I'll just go buy a single of this track, just so I could just jam on top of it or whatever, and just play along, just for the energy of that, because I've been doing those guitar covers, and like kind of the I don't know, the thought behind that is to just put out a good energy, that's different from this narrative bullshit that's just like unplug from that. And that's what I mean by mental diets. Fill it with some music, fill it with, some good, maybe audiobooks or something, just maybe fiction. I mean, there isn't really no fiction, but put your mind in a different place. Get out of this tiny box that the world thinks is real. It's like that everybody's like willing to like sacrifice themselves to get back. It's like, oh, get in line for these, unlimited boosters, every 6 whatever months, so you can go fly on a plane and go to bars again. It's like, I don't like to do that stuff anyway. It's like your offer's not that enticing for me. It's just like, I really don't leave my town, if I don't have to. And I don't go to the bars in town either. So, it's just what it is. But like, everybody's different. I don't know how it is, life for people living in a city, like a bigger city right now. I'm sure that's madness. I would definitely just get the fuck out of there, because I don't see that. The thing about fear and this false binary is like when these events tend to happen, for the people that are spiritual and connected with God, or at least on moving in that direction, even if it's just day one. I mean, you could be on parole or something, and you found Jesus in a jail cell or something, you might still have a shitload of stuff to process and deal with and let go of. I mean, everybody's different, but for people that are moving in that direction versus moving in like the fear hell direction, torment direction, when things happen, it can be transmuted to be more enlightening and give you more consciousness, more insights, more just understanding. But then it can also force you more and more unconscious then too, if you're not in the right state of mind. And as that kind of descent into madness starts to happen, it's kind of contagious if people aren't being mindful. And it kind of just depends on the morality of the people in that area. And so if you're like surrounded by a bunch of that shit, get the fuck out, Dodge, I would, but I'm not gonna tell you what to do. I mean, you can try to stick it out, ultimately listen to God and go within and come up with that game plan between you and your creator. But, from my perspective, I mean, that's what, even the town I live in at times, it's just like, I look around, because there's, I think, 10,000 people live here, 12,000 people, I don't know. Sometimes I look around, it's like, man, because a whole lot of this is not even happening here. But like, if shit really went crazy and people were like mobbing up and clicking up into like street gangs or something like that, I'd still kind of want to be outside of this city into the country more, because I got chickens and turkey. And it's like, it's one thing to deal with like predator animals like raccoons. I think it was like, what do they call it, coyote? I don't know, it looked like a rabid dog. It was like, I was like in my dining room. We got these French doors. I had the porch light on. And I was like, I see this dog looking thing, come to the French doors and try to look inside the house. And, we got cats that are inside and outside cats. And it's like, I don't know how, if I took a baseball bat out there, if it would be aggressive and like try to attack. Even with the baseball bat, that would have been intense, but like, so we get like a little bit of like nothing like a bear or anything crazy, or, wolves or any type of big predatory animal that just like could take down a human, but like, I think that coyote dog looking thing, I don't know, it's pretty big. I don't even know what I'm talking about that, but like, it's one thing to have to, if in the middle of the night you hear that chicken's getting attacked or something by a raccoon, more than likely a possum or a raccoon or something. I have to go out there and with a baseball bat, and some of them raccoons get pretty big. It's like I was on my bike. I was like just riding up and down the street, just basically up and down the blocks. That's how I do my like bike rides and stuff. And for like the hour-long bike rides I was doing, I still like to do that again. But like came across this like raccoon. It was, I don't know, 25-ish pounds looking. I don't know. It was big. But as I rode past it, it just like started like hissing and yeah, it was like hissing and just like got big and fluffy, and yeah, it seemed like it could kind of tear you up if it really wanted to. But yeah, I just wanted to get on here and kind of share that little update. No, just kind of ramble a little bit and just give, the chickens are doing good. The turkey's been letting me touch its head, which has been kind of it's weird. They're head feels weird. My wife said it feels like a ball sack. I don't know. I've never touched a man's ball sack, so I couldn't compare. Besides my own, I guess. But but it's almost like when you touch your fingers, to like yourself versus somebody else. Like it doesn't feel like that to me. But But long story short, so I've been touching the turkey's head, and I don't know why I'm trying. I feel like I'm sabotaging myself on some level. But then at the other end of it is like, I feel like if it lets me touch its head, I can grab its head and like cut its head off really easy, which might be disturbing, for some people, but like, I mean, that's the kind of life on a farm, I guess. But with that in mind, talking predatory animals, but if shit went down, you got people trying to get these animals in too, people got hungry, so it's like I wouldn't mind eventually like moving out of like my town out into the country more and having more of a farm with a pond and a bunch of turkeys and chickens and probably a cow or two, maybe some pigs. And then kind of make it like self-sustaining on some level, and like it can continue to like the handyman business, but like you get like a little all-natural farm type environment. Maybe have like some, maybe come spring, hire some more guys, and then, be able to have them out at the farm, helping do that. Yeah, it might be cool. We'll see how things play out. I don't really have big long-term plan anymore. It's just mostly just what's going on tomorrow. Okay, what's going on today? What's going on right now that I can really kind of focus in on, and I think that paper's about to fall, so I probably should be wrapping things up. But I just wanted to get on here. To say thanks, for you guys' support, for those that do that. It doesn't matter if you don't do that, but I do appreciate the ones that do, and try to be more mindful to express gratitude for that, not to come off as like an asshole. If they, because when people, send money through PayPal, I got the link at the bottom in the description. If people download music or they just want to do that, it's just like I tried. I had this hang up. I still kind of have a hang up with it, where it's just like, I don't want it to be I don't want people to feel bad, like if they do, give some support because I didn't acknowledge it, but then at the other end of it, I didn't want to make it like, I don't know, you know what's going on. But like, with that being said, appreciate you guys liking, sharing, subscribing, all that kind of stuff, and probably just gonna just do, from now on, these kind of just ramble streams and stuff. Probably, work on that track that I bought, which I had to buy from freaking Amazon because I couldn't figure out any other way to buy it. So it's ridiculous. The music business is stupid. It's really stupid at times, and being part of it, on some level, it's just, independently at least, but it's still, I'm on the same platforms, iTunes and Amazon, and, it shouldn't be that difficult. I spent like 30 minutes just trying to find a way to download one fucking song. It's just like, and pay for it. It's like, what, $1 or something, $2 for a single. It's like, why is this difficult? Why am I having a hard time buying this thing? Again, just the insanity of the music business, which is mostly an illusion. Most of the music business is completely full of shit. And you can see how many of these artists, are just big pharma shills at this point. Which is another thing that's been triggering me lately is, let's come to see our concert, spend $80 on a ticket and show us your papers on the way in. What a bunch of fucking sellouts, but like, with that being said, thanks again for listening, everybody, and have a good rest of your now, and God bless.